Hey guys, and welcome back to Gaming with CJ, aka the Fun Gaming Zone, and this is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. I'm not playing the game, but I'm going to read the Beastiary, yeah. Of every creature in here, so if you're interested in learning more about each creature by, reading, I will read it to you. I hope you enjoy, and yeah, these are some of the craziest creatures in the game. Not the wild beasts, but further down you'll see what I mean. So, yeah, here we go. Known that ditty about the bear climbing the mountain to see what he could see. Biggest load of rubbish I've ever heard. When a bear climbs a mountain, it's not to see, it's to hunt, to kill. Bears are omnivores, meaning men find a place in their diet besides berries, roots, and Solomon. When they snack on humans, they most frequently partake of the meat of travelers unwittingly trespassing onto their land or territory, or else that of hunters for whom besting such a creature is a lifelong ambition. There are several subspecies of bears: black bears, polar bears, and cave bears, which differ from one another in coloring as well as in size and strength. All share one trait in common, however, a near unmatched ability to kill: dogs. They say a dog's a man's best friend, but in these foul times one best be wary even of his friends. Some claim dogs are reflections of their masters. A well-treated pet repays his owner with loyalty and trust, whereas an ill-treated one repays his treatment in kind as well, meeting yells with barks and kicks with bites. Since there is an abundance of bad men, so too is there an abundance of bad dogs. Most dangerous of all are the vagrant mutts who have lost all respect of men and develop a taste for blood and carrion. Wolves. A friend of mine used to say that with all these griffins and basilisks and whatnot, good old-fashioned wolves weren't nothing to worry about. Then the damned beast devoured half his flock. Once upon a time, wolves were the absolute rulers of the forest. Men used them to frighten children, while adults to tremble at the sound of their howling. Post-conjunction monsters not only pushed wolves into the deepest wilds, but also took over their place in human nightmares. Yet this does not mean the old predators cease to be a danger. Wolves do not have a drop of magic within them, breathe no fire, spit no acid, but that in no way stops them from killing unwary travelers and hunters. Particularly dangerous are wargs, a nasty and ferocious species of wolf, and the snow white wolves, which today can only be found in the wild highlands of Skellige archipelago. Sorry if I pronounce these words incorrectly. I hope you don't get angry with me. Sometimes it takes me a while to get it, so yeah, I'll pronounce it a couple times for you if it's the correct way or if it's the incorrect way. Berserkers. Now finish your soup or a berserker will come and swallow you whole. Skellige legends speak of men known as berserkers who transform into bears when overwhelmed by the battle rage. In doing so, they lose all self-awareness and are driven by a bloodlust, which they must saturate in order to return to human form. Few believe these blood-curdling tales, however, not even in Skellige, where the inhabitants usually treat even the least probable legends with the utmost gravity. This indicates either that the berserkers are in fact more figments of mead-sodden imagination, or else that they have learned to hide their abilities from the rest of the islanders. Botchlings. Saying a botchling is ugly is like saying shit's not particularly tasty. Can't say it's a lie, but it doesn't exactly convey the whole truth either. Botchlings are perhaps the most repulsive creatures a witcher will ever have the displeasure of meeting. Born of the dead, unwanted babies discarded without a proper burial, their appearance is that of a partially decayed fetus, their unformed flesh twisted with hate, fear, and malice. These hideous creatures feed on the blood of pregnant women, driven by a mad hunger that most often leads to the death of their victims. Orphan. What's that? Some kind of fish? Disappeared during its surveying expedition in Skellige. They both disappeared. Professor Artibus and Johannes Rack, geographer. Alderfen are a breed of werewolf, found mainly in Skellige. The harsh and barren condition of the Isles might explain why they primarily hunt men and are stronger than their continental brethren. Older and particularly dangerous Alderfen, I'm just going to say it that way, are called Vorifs. Only a few daring warriors in all of Skellige in history have managed to defeat an Alderman, and each of them is commemorated in the ballads as a hero to this day. Like werewolves, Alderfens or Alderhens and Vorefs are active at night, particularly when the moon is at its fullest. Fast, strong, and amazingly resilient, these creatures kill with a disturbing ease. Silverblade should be brought against them, as should Devil's Puffball. Take note that when near death, an Alderfen becomes particularly dangerous and will attack with doubled fury, while calling on wolves to come to its rescue. Werewolves. Wolves aren't as bad. Wolves aren't as bad as they're made out to be. Werewolves, though, they're every bit as bad as and worse. Werewolves are creatures with both men and wolves inside them. When in beastly form, they take the worst traits from each. The wolf's drive to kill and hunger for raw flesh, and the man's cruel and calculating intelligence. A werewolf's condition comes about through a curse, and the transformation happens outside his conscious control. When he reverts to human form, he has no memory of his deeds, otherwise he would surely go mad and take his own life. Werewolves are active at night, particularly when the moon is full. Though they hunt alone, when threatened they will summon wolves to aid them. Werewolves rarely feel the need to flee, for few adversaries put up much of a fight against them. They strike as swiftly as lightning with claws sharp as razors, and regenerate any damage received in mere moments. When fighting a werewolf, a witcher should wield a blade covered in an oil harmful to the cursed, and have a large supply of Devil's Puffballs handy. Oh shit, sorry. A werewolf's curse can at times be lifted, yet there is no universal surefire method for doing this. A witcher seeking to undertake such a task must therefore equip himself with a great deal of patience and sturdy armor. Draconids. Cockatrices. Had myself 8 heifers, 5 of them milkers, and then this cockatrice sprung up nearby, and now all's I got left is dried patties, and an empty field. Foolish superstitions claim cockatrices, like basilisks, can kill with their gaze alone. That is utter nonsense. However, a cockatrice's gaze being no more dangerous than that of an angry goose, one should instead watch out for its sharp beak and long tail, which it can whip into a murderous effect. Forktails. Forktails, bah! Fuckers' tails more like cleavers. Forktails owe their quaint name to the long sharp growths at the tip of their tails. A blow from this weapon can slice an oaken shield to two, along with the arm that was carrying it. Thus, though its name conjures images of cutlery, fighting a forktail is nothing like a dinner party, and ends in death rather than dessert. Royal Wyvern. It were huge, and those teeth were barely escaped. Wonder if it killed the traitors. Whoreson sure had it coming. A hunter who knows his prey inhabits the behavior will. A hunter who knows his prey inhabits and behavior will rarely return from his hunt empty-handed. To know what forest paths deer are like to trod, to know in what muck boars will wallow, to guess when a hare will emerge from its burrow, that is half the battle. What most men do not know is that some monsters also possess such knowledge. For example, a royal wyvern from Valen had learned the danger of expressing itself to humanize an arrow by flying high to exposing itself. For example, a royal wyvern from Valen had learned the danger of exposing itself to humanize an arrow by flying high to pick out its prey from afar. Instead, it would lurk by the roadside and wait for military transports. In this way, it grew fat on salted pork and beer, expanding itself until it resembled a dragon more than other lesser members of its own kind. The Witcher thus knew this beast would be much stronger and more resilient than a normal weapon. Even one blow from it could kill, which is why he would need to avoid the charge at all costs. He would also be wise to force it to the ground with his crossbow or a bomb whenever it tried to fly into the air and hurtle down in a deadly dive. In the end, the Witcher slew the hideous creature, though not without some difficulty. Thanks to his feet, the soldiers could once again send shipments of the food and equipment needed to conduct the war. Whether what that was a good or bad thing, that is entirely different matter. Let's see. I think I'll read. Let me see. I'll read the last 3 and then I'll take a break and then we'll come back and read the rest. Shrieker. Heard you have a problem. A monster you call a shrieker? Aye, prowls about. It snatches cows and goats mostly, but it won't scorn a man if it runs into one. The monster tormenting the residents of Crow's Perch turned out to be a particularly nasty cockatrice. Geralt was not surprised the Baron's men had been unable to stop it. They could not possibly withstand the surgical precision of its strikes, which sliced open arteries and provoked an outpouring of blood only the swallow portion could hope to stop. Neither did they know to force it to the ground with a crossbow or bomb. A sign and then invade its charge by rolling under the monster's outstretching wings. Just when it seemed the villagers would have to learn to live in the shadow of the bloodthirsty beast, to always look to the sky with fear, the Witcher arrived and put an end to the shriekers for good. The Dragon of Frestol. It's got scales, wings, claws. A dragon's a dragon. No point grabbing about it. Just kill it. Few truly know what a dragon looks like, for those who have seen one up close rarely have the chance to share their impressions. That is why people are forever mistaken other monsters for dragons. This was the case in Fetchtrol, where the so-called dragon wreaking havoc turned out to be a forktail. Yet this mistaken attribution did not mean there was no reason for worry. The forktail harassing Fetchtrol was a particularly vile representative of its kind, one equipped with an endless store of deadly venom. Fighting it without first drinking a regenerative potion or potion antidote would be tantamount to suicide. In this fight with the forktail, Geralt gave proof not only his masterful swordsmanship, but also of a previously undemonstrated flair for shepherdry. With a little help from a brave sheep lent by the village elder, he lured the monster into a trap, then ended its life. Wyvern. Most dangerous of all are the royal wyverns, or, as they are called in some circles, the royal pains in the arse. Wyverns are often mistaken for dragons, and though they are much smaller than their more famous kin and do not breathe fire, they are likewise extremely dangerous monsters. Especially feared are the so-called royal wyverns, who, like their namesake monarchs, are exceptions honorary and extremely dangerous. Okay guys, 1 second. I'm gonna cut this one and we'll read the rest.